And we're back with the show. This is Gerald from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you sticking around and enjoying the broadcast. Well, it came across the wire last week that esports is again leaping by, well, it's just growing by all leaps and bounds. And a major announcement was made in the esports scene with Overwatch and Blizzard Entertainment, of course, the parent company of the massively popular game Overwatch, announcing that its Overwatch League, which can be seen streaming all over the place, has now got an even bigger avenue and a bigger platform to go ahead and show its wares because it just signed a deal with the, I guess you could say, the Disney, ABC, ESPN family of networks that are out there, which includes ABC, ESPN, ESPN2 and 3, and actually Freeform you can include on that, ABC, the actual network as well. So there is a potential growth in audience of millions and millions of viewers actually now getting a better chance to see everything going on in the Overwatch League. But I got to talk to somebody about it, and who better to talk to than my good friend. He not only is the star of the amazing documentary Nintendo Quest, but he's also part of the Quarter Portion podcast, the official podcast of Star Wars Echo 3. I had to say that again. Yeah, but also he is our man to know when it comes to the Overwatch League. It's my good friend, the original Foo Fighter himself. It's Jay Bartlett. What's up, man?
How are you, my friend? How is Las Vegas on this lovely Friday night? Friday night for me, Friday afternoon for you.
It's hot. It's
hot. Yeah, that's nice.
Yep, 110 right now. Just loving it. We're getting all the humidity, which is a rarity for us this week, but only really one day of rain, which we need all the rain we can get. But what can I say, man? It's Vegas.
I'm gonna come down there soon, I promise, and visit, man. I miss you, and I miss Vegas, definitely. So,
well, we miss you here, and actually tomorrow night at game night, we'll be thinking you fondly at the game night at Retro City Games. I know Doug and Nicole would love to see you here as well.
Yeah,
and, definitely. I'm hoping to see you soon as well here in the City of Sin. But I will say this: speaking of Las Vegas, because they have their own Overwatch League team. Like I said, it was announced that Overwatch has really gotten itself a major platform for viewing. What do you think this means with Blizzard and the Overwatch League signing up with the ABC family of networks? Because as you know, here in America and across worldwide, everybody has at least a familiar idea with ABC, Disney, and the ESPN family of networks.
I think it's fantastic. I think esports truly are sports. As an Overwatch player myself, I know that if you don't practice for a few days, you really do get rusty. It is like a true sport. So I think bringing that more into the mainstream is a good thing. I do have to give credit to the best game company in the world, which in my opinion is Blizzard. I think this wouldn't happen if Overwatch wasn't such a well-crafted piece of art. So my hat off to Blizzard, because those guys, whether they're doing MMOs, RTSs, shooters, they're the perfect at their craft. So.
But as I said before, this is going to go out to a big-time streaming audience that's available, not just streaming platforms like Twitch, YouTube, and what have you. We're now talking about some major television programs, and we've seen some esports in the past and currently that utilize the Turner Network area of outlets such as TBS and TNT here in the States. And there are other channels that go ahead and stream gaming as well. In fact, ESPN has dabbled into it before, but with this major announcement of the Overwatch League, I don't think they've actually have involved themselves with esports to the extent that they are going to do now with the Overwatch League.
No, I believe this is another first. And again, what better game to bring it in than Overwatch? I think this is great for video games in general. I mean, to bring this kind of attention not only to Blizzard and Overwatch, but to competitive gaming. I think it's fantastic, and I think that this is a good positive stride.
Now, to enlighten those that are out there about Overwatch being, like you said, a fast-paced first-person shooter, why do you think it was Blizzard and Overwatch was the one that ABC and ESPN actually said, you know what, we want to make the call on this game as opposed to, say, Fortnite, which has over 125 million players and is the hottest game on the planet right now, or something like PUBG, or even one of the traditional games that has been featured for many years now on esports platforms.
Well, Overwatch has its own league, right? So I think that's the first thing. You have real teams owned by real people. You have professional players, and it's very much like a real sport. It's been running since January, which is in my opinion, incredibly long season. I'm not too much of a sports guy, but we're into the playoffs now, which is nice. I think again, it's a testament to Blizzard and how well they do everything, including running their own league. Do you know what I mean? There's been a lot of Call of Duty tournaments and such like that, but nothing quite to the effect of Overwatch. And it's just, again, the craftsmanship of the game.
Now, we've spoken before about the involvement of the Overwatch League and where you hope it goes to and hope it evolves into. Mind you, we didn't know that they were going to go ahead and garner such a mega deal with an outfit such as Disney, ABC, and ESPN and all that. But at this point in time, do you see this type of transition into such a major platform being the, I guess, key to having that evolving type of format where, like you and I had previously spoke on when it comes to the Overwatch League, actually taking place in the actual cities and arenas in those cities, as opposed to one centralized area like they do right now with the studio. Actually, I drove by it a couple months ago in Southern California. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that. Do you think it's going to take that next evolutionary step now that's on such a highly visible platform?
Gerald, I certainly hope so. Again, I'm not a huge sports guy, but this would bring it to the next level. For me, I would like to see, my team's London, the Spitfires. I would like to see those guys travel from city to city. I mean, I know they're not stationed in England. None of these teams are stationed where they say, but it would be cool for them to have to go to their own home cities. And, there would be actual home games and away games, because I think there's that different stress. When you're out of your own studio and into someone else's studio, it's like it'd be a field, but I think you would see, how do I put it? It just would put another spin on the game. Instead of everyone being in the same comfortable, cozy studio, it's like you're playing in your living room every day. You'd be in a different environment. I would love to see that. I don't think it's impossible. I do think it's the next step.
Well, I know for us here in Las Vegas, it would be something really easy to transition to, because there are several outlets right here along the strip and basically the Las Vegas city as a whole that can cater to such an event, including an esports arena already at the Luxor Hotel, and also downtown as well. They have another esports arena similar to that. But when you come to the city right now, all you would see if you passed by the pyramid at the Luxor is this big, huge sign for an esports arena. So that tells you right there how much certain cities are already invested into the esports product. So I agree with you that it would be awesome that if they would start going ahead and maybe move from location to location and actually have those home and away type formats, where in the case of London, they would have some home games, quote unquote, against other teams where they would come in, and obviously you would have the big crowd supporting them at those locations.
Yeah, I know. I think it's got to happen. I mean, there's no shortage of money. I mean, it's Blizzard. Let's be realistic here. Honestly, I think it's just around the corner. We're going to have another Overwatch World Cup. I believe September, October. I'm not 100% sure on the date, but that's what it was last year. So that's very exciting as well. They're getting, I mean, let's talk about XQC. My absolute favorite player, very controversial player, but talented nonetheless. He's back. He's going to be on Team Canada, which is awesome. I just think they really need. I've always said from the beginning they need someone to come in and kind of teach the guys. I don't want to say personality training because that's very harsh, but they need to be able to, like handle interviews and kind of come up with their own characters, almost like if it was like wrestling. Do you know what I mean? So,
well, that's what I've said before as well, that esports will never fully succeed on a platform and approach those general consumers out there unless they have something and a personality that they can draw into. And maybe that's the case. Maybe that's what they're pointing towards to. And maybe they can get those personalities or even that type of rivalry that will actually generate the interest, not only in the hardcore gaming community, but the general consumer community as well.
In the first few months with the league, you saw that with XQC, of course. He said some stuff on his private stream that was definitely wrong. Got fired shortly after, but when he was on screen, like he had a different personality. They would all come out kind of like I said, like wrestling intros, and everyone's very stone faced and very nervous. But XQC was always very like, in your face kind of thing. And I think they need a little bit more personality with all the teams to really drive it to that next level.
I couldn't agree with you more on that. Because as I've spoken to you and also one of our other esports colleagues when it comes to the actual esports scene and all that, Christian Daniels Zamudio, I've said that basically for it to succeed on an even higher platform, they need to have those personalities people can draw into. And that now it's on such a big platform like ABC, ESPN, and pretty much any of the networks that Disney, ABC, and ESPN want to put it on, that they own, that they do need those type of personalities that really will draw in the average viewer, excuse me, and be able to go ahead and draw those extra people in, those extra set of eyes in to make it even bigger than it was before. Well, I want to close out with this. Like I said, it's a major deal for esports and obviously as well for Blizzard. What do you see with this type of deal and this type of platform as far as evolving the actual game itself for not only the esports league and the esports hardcore players, but for people like you that actually love to play it at home every single day?
I see basically that video game companies need to take a cue from Blizzard. I've said this for a long, long time. Overwatch doesn't need Overwatch 2 next year. In 2 years, Overwatch 3. They just keep evolving and adding on to one game. The same as World of Warcraft, the same as Diablo. Do you know what I mean? I think more game companies need to adopt this model. So, I'm not going to invest 200 hours into the next Call of Duty because I know next year everything that I just did is going to be erased because the Call of Duty 20 is going to come out. I just wish that, maybe Overwatch is getting this global attention because, like I said again, it's so well crafted, and these companies need to understand that you don't need to erase and replace. You just need to keep adding on to a game. When someone's going to invest hundreds of hours, you don't want to have that fear, which I always do, of it being taken away by the next game.
Those are some great words indeed from my good friend, the star of Nintendo Quest, which you can get today. Just order it today off of robmccallumfilms.com or even on amazon.com for that matter. It's an awesome documentary. You got to check it out with, of course, directed by our good friend Rob McCallum. Can't always forget that guy right there. I talk to him once a week at least, where he harasses me nonstop for as long as he likes, seemingly, if you check out the Cosmic Crossfire. But it stars our good friend Jay Bartlett right here. One last thing before we go. I know you've got a lot of fires. I know you got a lot of hands in the fire, just like Rob McCallum does. Yeah. I know he had spoken the last time we were on the air with the Cosmic Crossfire about a revival of Galaxy of Hope. But I want to hear about that, but also as well Star Wars Echo 3 and some of the great things that you're involved in right now.
Yeah, Galaxy of Hope, we're looking to relaunch in August. We've just had to rethink the campaign a little bit. So we're really looking forward to that. We're going to push that very, very hard. Echo 3 is going strong as well. We have a local event in my city here of London at Storybook Gardens on the 21st of July. Now Storybook Gardens is kind of like a mini Disneyland. So we're hoping to raise some good money for the Children's Health Foundation, for the Children's Hospital here. So you can always find us on Facebook at Star Wars Echo 3. That's the best place to get in contact. So reach out to us, guys. Looking forward to hearing from you.
And you can check out the official podcast of Jay Bartlett right now, which is the Quarter Portion Podcast, available on Apple Podcasts and many other outlets.
You didn't mention you wanted to do a Star Wars podcast.
I can always do a Star Wars podcast with you, my friend, at any point in time. That's always up to you. It's no worries. I just got to go ahead and
just razzing me. You got a little bit of McCallum in you. That's okay. That's fine.
That's okay. Well, he rubs off on me. I tell you what, when you get when you get ribbed by him on pretty much every single episode, I got to rub off somewhere, man. Got to rub off somewhere. But Jay, it's always a pleasure having you a part of the program. I got to get you and your fellow compatriot, Mr. McCallum, together at some point in time. We couldn't do it for Solo, a Star Wars story, although seemingly all of us seem to kind of like it. So I thought it was actually pretty good myself. So it had some issues, but then again, they didn't detract from a whole as far as the enjoyment of the film. And unfortunately, we'll never see the rest take place because it didn't do so hot at the theater. But for another day on that one, when it comes to that, it's going to be a little bit of a while before we, can really talk Star Wars until Episode 9. Although Lando is officially coming back, my friend. I know you're happy about that.
I saw that. I met Mr. Billy D. Williams in 2001 at one of my very first cons with Rob, actually, and he was the first guy we ran up to, and it was my first Star Wars experience with an actor, so that was awesome.
Well, a lot of people are happy about it, and hopefully it will lead to a better signs for the Star Wars universe and also a lot less toxic fandom. But as you and I both know, Jay, we'll have to wait and see. My friend, it's always great to talk to you. Check out everything that's going on today with Jay Bartlett, again, on Rob McCallum Films, Star Wars Echo 3, the Quarter Portion Podcast, and also everything as well. Jay, it's been great talking to you, my friend, and I appreciate everything that you do for us right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos.
Thanks for having me, mate. Cheers.